Hello, and welcome back to my channel. Welcome. Today I'm going to be talking about all the books that I read in 2024. I had a goal of 70, did not achieve that. I did 57. And again, sorry if I look a little crusty. My eye's getting better, but it's still not 100% there. I did want to do this video for you guys. And I have everything on my phone on a little app that I use. For January, I read 4 books. I'm just gonna talk about them really fast because I know you've seen me talk about them in a lot of my other videos. First one I read is Legendary by Stephanie Garber. Let me tell you, this book, I finished the series, but we'll talk about that when I get to the other book. Absolutely loved it. The first one, it was kind of really hard to get into, but this one, I ate it up. I don't know. The only reason I even read this series was because I heard Once Upon a Broken Heart that it's like really good, and I think they said that you don't have to read it, but I wanted to read it to see what the whole thing was about. The first book, like I said, it was really hard to get into, but once I finished, once I got 60%, I started about 50%, that's when I started getting a lot better. But this one just ate it up. The second read of the year of 2024 that I did was Things We Hide from the Light by Lucy Score, another series that I actually finished, but I will talk about it more when I get to the other book. I did like this one. I think the first one I gave it a 5 stars. I gave this one a 4.5, if I'm not mistaken. Oh, and Legendary, I think I rated it at 5 stars. But it was really cute. I loved how they kept going with the criminal story that they had, the crime story that they had in the first one. They brought it to the second one. I love that. I love that all the characters, I just love this book. I love this series. Knocked Him Out series was one of my favorite series. I don't know what to say, but the only thing I do want to say is that these books are so thick. They're 600, almost 600 pages. But I did love it. Next I have is Unravel Me by Tahereh Mafi. Not my fave. I can't remember what I rate this. I think I rated this a 4.5. I love the storyline. I love everything about the series. I'm on the 3rd book barely. I'm hoping to finish the series this year, but I don't know if I will. But I do like this. I am really excited for the 3rd one. I heard the 3rd one's better, the best book out of all of them. Not sure if that's true, but I'm really excited about the 3rd one. Next one I have is King of Greed by Ana Huang. I think this is my least favorite book out of the series. I think I rated this a 3.5. I just didn't like how the characters were written in this. I think there's 7 books coming out. I'm barely gonna read this year. King of Sloth, I think. Yeah, I think last year I read 2 of them, and this year I read this one. And then King of Sloth came out this last year, 2024. I still think I'm in 2024. And King of Greed is coming out 2025. Not King of Greed, King of Envy. And I think there's still 2 more books coming out. But this one was my least favorite one. I think the first one was my absolute favorite one out of this series. But I do like the story behind it. I just don't like how it was written, if you get me. So for February, I only read 2 books, which I read. First one I did was Icebreakers by Hannah Graves. I did give this a 4.5. I absolutely love this book. I ate it up. I am so excited to continue the series. I've heard they're great books. Barely, I haven't even started, not even read the other 2. I don't know how many books are gonna be in this series. I can't remember the name of them. But I ate this book up so, I loved it so much. Second book I read this month was Powerless. I don't even know what to say about this. Absolutely ate it up. I love this book. I have Powerful and Reckless. Have not read those, but I'm ready for them. I think my thing was that once I finished Powerless, I jumped right into Powerful, and I don't really tend to do that because I just kind of get bored of the world. Even if it's a 5 stars for me, I just kind of get bored of it. So I try, and then Powerful is just like a novella. So it's like this book, but another character's point of view. So I kind of read I can't remember how many pages I read, and I just kind of put it down because of that reason. And I just never picked it back up. But I do want to read them, and I do want to pick them up. I'm excited for book 2, but I've heard a lot of negative reviews over it, so I'm kind of like sad about that. But I hope I really like it too. For March, I read 4 books, and I think there might be a video of these books. So I read The Things We Left Behind by Lucy Score, which I finally finished, the Knock 'Em Out series. And I think this is a book everybody was waiting for. I rated it at 4.5 stars. I did love it. I just, like, to me it was cringy when they were like doing the do and they were just like fighting. Like, come on, dude, like, shut up and just take it, you know? But I absolutely loved it. I loved how it finished, in like the whole series finished out, like how we get a little glimpse of the future with everybody. And I don't even know what else to say about this. I just absolutely love the series. All 3 books were great. The next one I read is The Way I Am Now by Amber Smith, which I rated this a 5 stars. Does it deserve to be 5 stars? I think I could go down on my rating to like 4.5 because I did love this book. It kind of gave us closure to a point, but I still wanted to know a little bit more about the trial in this book, and we didn't get as much of the trial, and that's what I wanted to like get closure with that. But I still loved it, and I don't know, the first one absolutely wrecked me, and I loved it so much. But this one, loved it too, and I did finish a duology. I think that's, I don't know if she's coming out with another book for this duology or what, but I loved it. Next book I read is If Only I Had Told Her by Laura Nowling. I rated this book 4.5. I was expecting more from this. I heard a lot of rumors of, oh, this is supposed to be Finn's point of view and leading up to the story, or Finn's point of view basically from the first book. And that's not what we got. We literally did get Finn's point of view for like a few chapters leading up to the accident, and then we got Finn's best friend's point of view, and then we had Autumn's point of view after the accident. I liked it. I liked Autumn's point of view, and I loved Finny's point of view, but I don't know if I wanted the best friend's point of view. He didn't come out as much, like, he wasn't really talked about as much in the first book as Autumn and Finn were, so it's like, you kind of just throw that in there for me. But I liked it, I enjoyed it, because I did give it 4.5 stars. So, did we need it? Not really, but it's there, and I read it. The last book I read that month is Finale by Stephanie Garber, and I finished the Caraval trilogy, which this book I ate up. Like, if I was talking about Legendary being so good, this right here, 8. So good. Like, I love how the story finishes. I love the love in the story in this. I loved everything that this book has to give me. What I did, well, it's not that I didn't like, but it was like this book didn't have that Caraval magic. Not the magic, but like the Caraval. Like, the first book had to do with Caraval, the second book had to do a little bit with the Caraval, and then this book just was like totally like a whole different thing, you know? It had to do with like something else. But I still loved it, and I still ate it up, and I still loved it. For April, I read, basically, it was 2 books, but they were like short books, which is the Mindfuck series and Offside. Love both of them. I gave Offside, I gave it 4.5 stars, and the Mindfuck series, I gave it 5 stars. Offside, honestly, I can't even remember what I read. I know it's a hockey romance, and I really want to read the second one. I know there's, I think it's called Shootout or something like that, if I'm not mistaken. I can't remember what I read that book, and I read both of them in Kindle Unlimited. And the Mindfuck series really does live up to its name, Mindfuck series. I absolutely loved it. It was like the best dark romance I have ever read in my life. Honestly, my opinion. I think I read the whole thing in like 3 days, maybe. Not sure, but I absolutely love that series with all my heart. For May, I read 4 books. One of them was a reread. The first one I read was Flawless, and if I'm not mistaken, I did give this a 5 stars. I did annotate it too. This is like my first, if I'm not mistaken, my first annotated book, I want to say. Yeah, I think so. And I absolutely loved it. Like, there was so much cute things this book had. And just like the cute quotes. Let me see if I can pull one and read it to you guys. If this were your last moments on earth, what would you want me to do? And then she said, ruin me. I loved it. I am planning on reading the second book this year. I do have to get all the other ones. I got the old covers, so I'm hoping all the other ones are in the old covers too. I do want to get the new covers, but since I already started annotating and started these, I just want to go ahead and get the same ones, right? The next one I read was Credence by Penelope Douglas. I gave this a 3.5. I started annotating this book, but I couldn't read it. I just couldn't do it. I had to do the audio for this one. I could not. If I wasn't for the audio, I probably would have DNF'd it. This book is a little crazy. Messed up crazy. But I did enjoy the audio. It was great. Just, I don't think this was the book for me though. I did give it a 3.5, but just not the book for me. The next one I read, it's one of my absolute, it's the second book in my absolute favorite series. Loved it. I wanted to do a reread. I think I did do a reread of the first one last year. And just enjoyed it so much. I enjoyed it like the first time. I still cried. I was still mad. I had all the emotions like I did the first time. The book is Exodus by Kate Stewart. I know this book has been like a lot. I've seen a lot on TikTok, like 2024, and a lot of people didn't like the series, but it's one of my absolute favorites, and I absolutely love it. And what I love about this is that there's one of my good friends at work. She also loves the series as much as I do, and she is doing a reread also because we're waiting on the next books are coming out for the Legacy. I think it's called the Legacy series or something like that for Kate Stewart. We're just waiting for those books, so we did a reread. So yeah, these are probably going to be books that I will reread my whole life because I absolutely love them. The next book I read was Mile High. I gave that 4 stars. I did like it. I love the story behind it. I just didn't really like how they were just the main characters were acting in this. I feel like she was just like, I don't know if this is what I felt like. She wanted him to beg her. She wanted him to beg her a lot over, like, he complimented her all the time, and she was like, well, I don't think so, and then I don't know. Like, she was just like negative all the time, and I did not like about that. I didn't enjoy that, but everything else, like, I love that these are sport romances, but I did hear the first one was great. After the first one, I hear all the other ones are better, so I'm hoping for that, and I can't wait to finish to keep reading the series. For June, I only read 1 book, and I read Me Before You by Jojo Moyes, another annotated book that I did. I rated this 4 stars. Honestly, I don't think I've ever liked a movie better than I did the book, but this part, I absolutely loved the movie better than I did the book. I feel like there was more detail in the book, what they give you in the movie, but I enjoyed the movie more than I enjoyed reading the book. For July, I read 2 books. The first book I read was Pack of the Moon by Christine Higgins. Oh my god. This book, I think I said it before in that video where I read this, it reminds me of this. I did a video where I read sad books, and this was one of the books that I was recommended, that it was really, really sad. It was, at the end, had me sobbing. Well, actually, no, let me take that back. If I wouldn't have been in a public place like school. I would have been sobbing. I had like maybe 1 or 2 tears roll out of my eyes, but I probably would have sobbed if I were at home. The ending, like the last few chapters, had me on a chokehold. Like I was just holding back so many tears because this book, that's how sad this book was. And I loved it, and I think what did I rate this, a 4.5? Yes, I did rate this a 4.5. I think everything was perfect until the part where no, not her sister, her best friend and him and the husband try to get together because they thought that's what she wanted. But I'm like, no, to me, that's what brought it to a 4.5. I think I would have gave this a 5 stars if they didn't have that, but I still loved it. The next book I read, and I also annotated, it was The Things We Leave Unfinished by Rebecca Yarros. Also a book that I read for my sad book video. I was told that this book was really sad, which I don't believe it was. I don't think I even cried. This has to do with like World War II. I think it's like a historical fiction kind of. And honestly, it was really slow for me the beginning. I think because it has 2 POVs. It has like the present POV and then it has the past POV. So to me, the past POV in World War II was like very entertaining. Like I was eating it up. But when I had to read her point of view, like the present point of view, I didn't like it. I was too bored, too slow for me. But I gave this a 4 stars because of that reason. I feel like it just started getting better towards the end of the book. For August, I did read 8 books. I started with The 7-Year Slip by Ashley Poston. I did rate this a 4.5. Also did this for a sad book video. Honestly, it did not make me cry as much as I thought it would because I've heard this was really sad. There was a part where it did like, I did cry a little bit, but it was still great. I love the time travel stuff. Absolutely amazing. I actually ate this book up. It was so good. I think I read it like in a day. The next book I read is Killer Instinct by Jennifer Lynn Barnes. Perfection. I gave this book 5 stars. I want to continue the series. I think I got the 3rd book if I'm not mistaken, and I plan on reading it this year. I want to finish the series this year. Like, just finish it because that's how good. I actually read this book in a day and a half. I literally just sat down. I read like 60% of it in one day and then the other 20 in the morning. And then, yeah, that's how good this book was. I think I was waiting for this book since the first one. When I heard Dean's dad was a serial killer, I was like, oh, I can't wait to read the book about him. It's not really like focused around him, but I think like it is because there's like murders that are happening. They're like copying his style, if I'm not mistaken. So it's like it is based off him because they're kind of like studying it, but not like 100%. So, but I still loved it. Absolutely ate it up. The only thing I don't like about this, but I didn't let that ruin my rating, is the love triangle. I hate love triangles. I don't like them. And there's like a quote that well, not a quote, but a question that the other guy asks her. It's like, if I would have gone to save you, would have you picked me? And she just like didn't say anything. So it was like, so you picked him because he saved you? Like, what is the reason? Anyways, let's keep going. The next one I read is the Fracturing novella. This is Adam's point of view, if I'm not mistaken. Honestly, I am not liking these novellas. I gave this a 3 stars. It didn't take me long to read this, but I'm just not liking them. I don't know if I'm gonna continue the novellas. I probably will, but I just, no, they're not for me. The next one I read was Wicked Beauty by Katie Robert. I gave this a 4.5 star. This is the 3rd book in the Dark Olympus series. This has to do with Achilles, Patroclus, and Helen of Troy. These books are spicy. These books are great. I think I have 4 more in the series to finish. I do plan on reading maybe 1 or 2 this year. I don't know if I'll finish the whole series, But if you haven't picked this up, what are you waiting on? These are so good. The next one I read is The Sea Witch, also by K.T. Robert. I gave this book a 4 stars. This is a retelling or reimagining of Little Mermaid. And she has the best, I can't remember what the series is called. Wicked Villains, I think. This series is amazing. I only have one more book and I do plan on finishing this year. I think the first one's Aladdin, the second, and I think you've heard me talk about these books so much. The second one has to do with like Peter Pan. The third one, or yeah, Peter Pan, the third one has to do with Hades, if I'm not mistaken. The fourth one's Beauty and the Beast. This one's The Little Mermaid, The Little Mermaid, and then the last one has to do with Sleeping Beauty. These are spicy, these are kinky, these are, if you are into that, pick these up. Love them. The next one is a reread of my favorite series of the whole wide world, The Finish Line by K.T. Robert. 5 stars. Love the series. I don't even know what to say. You heard me talk about them so much all the time. Love the series so much. The next one I read was Once Upon a Broken Heart. I also annotated this book by Stephanie Carver. Honestly, this is the whole reason I even read Caraval. I give this a 4.5. Great book. Loved every single thing about this book. Jax is my favorite character so far. I am absolutely excited to read the second book. I plan on it. I don't know if I'll read the third one this year, but I am waiting for that paperback to come out so I can have it. If the paperback comes out, then it might be read this year too. But I loved it, and I do plan on annotating the next one. I'm really excited to read it. My cousin actually already read the second one. She said it's great. I think, if I'm not mistaken, she rated the first one 5 stars and the second one 4.5 stars. But I've heard the second one's like way better than the first one. So we'll see. We'll see how it goes. The next one I read is Check and Mate by Ali Hazelwood. Also annotated. Oh, actually, I started annotating this book, but this is another book that I was absolutely not okay with. I was not able to read this. I had to do the audiobook for this one. I rated this a 3.5. I can't remember who I heard from who was talking about this book, and they said this book doesn't really have chess. It's more like the love story, and they wish they had a little bit of this I don't know if we read the same book, but this is literally about chess. Like, I was so confused because I know nothing about chess. So when I started reading it, I was like, not for me, not for me. But I did like it, and I did enjoy it. The audiobook, if I probably would have read the book, I probably would have DNF'd it. For September, I did read 6 books. I also got some arcs that I started. That's when I started reading my arcs in September. The first book I read, and I did annotate this too, is Pestilence by Laura Tolosa. I ate this book up. The only reason I got a 4.5 was because of the ending. Did not like the ending. I know there is a second book to it, but it has to do with another horseman, so it has like, it's not like, well, it wasn't the ending. It was more of like almost the ending, like before the whole book finishes, because the book finishes and it is like open to the next book, because that's when one of the other horsemen comes to Earth. But it's like before the ending, it's just like, it was going so good for me, and it just went downhill like that fast, and I did not like about it. But I absolutely ate this book up. I heard, I can't remember if it was the second one or the third one, or the second one or fourth one, that gets, like, they're really great. So I really do plan on reading this series. I'm hoping to finish it this year. Probably not gonna happen, but I do plan on reading, like, continuing the series this year. The next book I read is actually an arc that I got. It's called A Lady Most Fitting, a Grimm Regency Tale by Sienna Peak. I gave the book 4 stars. I honestly don't even remember what I read. I just know that it's like a reimagining or retelling of the A Grimm's Regency Tales. This has to do with like the shoemaker. I did another reread of my favorite series of the whole wide world, but this is actually The Legacy of a Prince. This is the Legacy, the Raven Hood Legacy. One Last Rainy Day by Kate Stewart. This is Dominic's point of view of the first and second book, which is Flock and Exodus. And did a reread of this. Absolutely loved it. 5 stars to every single thing. It still made me cry. It still made me laugh. It still made me angry. Everything you could think of. Emotions were there. The next book I read was another arc. This one's called Mine Forever by Elisa P. I rated that at 5 stars because I absolutely loved it. It is the second book in a series, but it's also the first book that I read from her. It was an arc that was sent to me, and I absolutely ate it up. Loved it. Everything about it. I do plan on reading the next books in this, and I do want to read the first one also, but they're interconnected series. So they're in the same world, but they're not like you have to read the first one, or you can read them without the order, you know. And I forgot I do have the books. I thought I had them on Kindle, but no, they were just not in the right pile. But I do have the books, The Lady Most Fitting and Mine Forever. They're little thinnies. That's why I was like fast reads. But the next book I read was the biggest disappointment of my whole life. Biggest disappointment. I've seen a lot of people love this author, and I don't know. I haven't really seen anybody talk about this book. It has really low ratings on Goodreads, but it is Never by Jessa Hastings. No, honestly, I tried, and the only reason I picked it up was because it's supposed to be a Peter Pan retelling. And well, actually, no, it's not even a retelling. It's like a continuation of Peter Pan, because this is like many years after Wendy. So it's like, honestly, I rated this at 2 stars. This book was absolutely trash for me. Hated it. Is there going to be a second book? I don't know. Will I read it? Maybe, because she needs to fix this. I don't know. I'm going to have to think about it. The next book I read this month, and it's called Murder with a Hint of Pumpkin Spice by Laura M. Drake. This was also an arc sent to me. I rated this at 5 stars. Great fall read. Absolutely loved it. It has mystery, and it's a bookstore. Loved it. This is the first time I ever read anything from this author. She did come out with the second one. It's called Murder with a Hint of Peppermint, and also read that one, but that's for another month. But and I am gonna pick up more books of hers. I'm hoping I get called for more arcs because I absolutely loved her writing. This book was amazing. Ate it up, read it in one day, loved it so much. For October, I read 5 books. The first book, I know, don't judge me, but the first book I read was a Christmas book. This was an arc sent to me. It's called Her Counterfeit Christmas by Grace J. Croy. Hope I'm not butchering the name. But this, I ate up. Loved it. I actually rated this book at 5 stars. I loved every single thing about this book. It was just there. It was so quick for like everything. I don't know. Just absolutely love this book. Amazing. Great. Loved it. Mwah. And this is the first book ever read by her, that I read by her, and I really do hope to read more by her because I absolutely loved her writing. The next book I read, it's called Fall into Temptation by Lucy Score. I think this is the second book in a series also. The only reason I picked it up and I talked about it was because I saw Fall and Leaves and I thought it was going to be a good fall book. I rated this a 3.5. I wasn't understanding much at the beginning. I just hate when they like throw names. So I get so confused when they just like throw all these names at the beginning. And that's what happened to me. But I did enjoy it. I thought it was pretty cute. And I rated this a 3.5. This book, next book, I've heard everybody in the Roma talk about it and how good it was. And I don't know why it took me so long to pick it up. My cousin was always telling me I'm going to read this because it's so good. And then I just decided, like, you know what? I think I even had like a little poll between my cousins, my sisters and my husband and my cousins to see which one they would pick between this one and another book. And everybody but one person picked this one. And I'm happy they did because I absolutely loved it. And I gave this a 5 stars. It is Heartless Hunter by Christine Ciccarelli. This is the first book in the Crimson Moth. And I'm waiting for the second one. I think the second one comes out in February, if I'm not mistaken. I love this. I think this was the year of like my fantasy reads, because I'm not really a fantasy girly. I'm more like a romance girly, and I love romance books. But I wanted to get into fantasy a little bit more, and I do love the romancy. I love that it has romance and it has fantasy in it. Love it so much. So I'm starting to get into those books. I'm starting to get out of the romance books. Like, I love them, but I'm starting to read a little bit more of thrillers, a little bit more of fantasy. Like, you've seen like the variety of books that I have this year that I try to get out of my comfort zone. Which of when I first picked up reading again, it was mostly like romance. Absolutely loved it. If you haven't read this, what are you waiting for? Don't walk. Run to your nearest store and buy this. Or I don't even know if it's on Kindle. It might be on Kindle. If not, grab it on Kindle and read it right now. The next book I read was also an ARC sent to me. I gave this a 4 stars. It's called Paradise Falling by Fire Rose, Mafia Romance. I want to say this is like the first Mafia romance that I ever read. I'm not sure, but I loved it. It was so good. It was something that I don't think I've ever read before. No, I don't think I've ever read a Mafia, if I'm not mistaken. And if I have, let me know, because I can't remember right now. But I really did like this book. Also, like I said, it was an ARC sent to me. I do plan on like searching more of her books up, because I really did like it and I want to continue reading her more. The next book I read was The Boyfriend by Frida McFadden. If you saw my video, you know what happened to my dust jacket. My dogs got to it and they ate it. Like all Frida McFadden, so far I loved all her books. I've heard like a lot of negative reviews on her books, and a lot of people say that they don't like them. But honestly, I don't know if like I said, I'm not really a thriller girly, so maybe that's why I don't know what's good in the thriller world. But I do like the Frida McFadden books, and I did enjoy The Boyfriend, and I gave this a 4.5 stars. Because like I said, I enjoyed it. For November, November was the month of ARCs. I read 10 books. I don't have these physically. I read them. They were sent to me. But they were sent to me by BookFunnel. The first one I read was called Festive Faking. It's a country romance holiday novella. I think this might be a series, Rusty Canyon. I think it's called Rusty Canyon or something like that. I gave this a 4.5. I loved it. I was already in like the Christmas spirits, and I did read a lot of Christmas books this month. And they were, like I said, ARCs, and I absolutely loved it, and I gave it 4.5. Next one I read, another ARC sent to me, was Second Chances with St. Nicholas, a small town second chance romance. I gave this a 4.5. It was a really like 80 page novella. So thin, so quick and easy. Absolutely loved it. The third book I read this month was The Best You Ever Had. It's a holiday novella. I did rate this a 5 stars. Absolutely loved this book. It was a frenemies, second chance, I think. A frenemies, frenemies to lovers. It was just great, amazing. Loved the banter between the female and the male main characters. Loved everything about this. The next book is called Fangs of Fate. This is another ARC sent to me. Another fantasy. Loved it. I gave it a 4 stars. It has dragons. It has vampires. Grab your tissues. I think she might be coming out with this book soon, but I do like this book. It was great. It was, like I said, something in my comfort zone, because this is a fantasy book and I did like it. It wasn't like I think it was kind of confusing to me, because there's 2 POVs. One of them is the main female character, and the other one's like, I don't know if you want to call him like the main male character, but he was like her ex-boyfriend kind of, but it wasn't like the love interest, so it was kind of confusing to me how he was the other POV when they weren't nothing, you know. But I did like it. I loved everything about it. I love how there's dragons in here, and like all these other creatures that we had when this book came out, or I don't know if it came out or before it came out, or maybe it did come out already. Like a Zoom meeting with her, and we got to ask her questions. This is by Rebecca Parcha. I don't know if I even said the name, but we got to ask her questions, and she was just like so like I loved her. She was just answering everything, and the way like she was just like telling us how she created all these characters, and like so amazing. And we're like in this group where she like talks about I think she's getting like a few spoilers, and it's pretty cool. I love this author. She's just like very out there with her book, and like telling us like a little bit here and there. I don't know when the book comes out. I think it comes out this year. Not sure. The next book I read was Finding Secrets by Ivy Darling. This is a dark romance. Oh my god. When I gave this book 5 stars because it had me in my edge of my seat. When I first went into this book, I thought it was going to be about something different. I was like, ew, like, I'm honestly thinking like, oh, I don't even think I'm going to like this book. I don't think I'm going to like the ending because this reason and this reason and this reason. No, it literally gave me like a whole 180, and it was not what I thought it would be, and it was sad. It was heartbreaking, the ending of it, but I absolutely ate this book and I loved it so much. Also, another arc sent to me. And then the next one, another arc, Beyond the Spotlight by D.G. Keen. I gave this book a 4 stars. This has age gap where the woman's older. Love the banter between the characters in this, and I love the MMC. He was like so caring for her all the time, which he's younger though, but he loved her so much. I absolutely loved this book. It was very spicy. That's why it didn't get a higher rating for me. This book was very spicy. I feel like every single chapter had spice in it. Not saying that it did, but that's how I felt. But I did love the book. Absolutely loved it. And I think she might be writing the second one or coming out with the second one soon. So I'm excited to read the second one. I can't wait for it. So hoping I get in the arc again. The third one I read is Fumble into Love. I did give this a 4.5 by Nicole Cuba. This is a football romance, if I'm not mistaken. This is a sport romance, but it has to do with football. And I loved everything about this book. Absolutely. I ate it up. Also an arc. The next book I read was Melting Touch by Annie T. Thyssen. Also an arc. Was sent to me a 4.5. That's what I gave. This is also like a wintry, Christmassy holiday thing. But this is after like the holidays. It does talk about Christmas. It does talk about New Year's. But this is more like after the holidays. And it's like a brother's best friend. Second chance romance. All that. It's cute. Spicy. Love it. Short little novella. The next one, I also gave this book a 5 stars. Murder with a Hint of Peppermint. Loved it. It has mystery. It has romance. It has murder. Loved it. Ate it up. I want to read more of her books. I hope she has more coming out. The last book I read in this month was The Awakening. The Zodiac Academy, The Awakening by Carolyn Peckham and Susan Valentine. I gave this book a 4.5. I loved it. Like I said, I'm getting more into the fantasy books. But what I didn't like, what I didn't like about this book, it was like very a bully. Like the guys bully them so much, but to like the point where they're like mean to them. Like really mean to them. If I were getting bullied like that, I don't even know if I would survive. Like I would like, mom, move me now. I mean, obviously the circumstances, like it couldn't happen, but it's like I wouldn't even go back to school anymore. But I did like this, and I do plan on continuing the series. I don't even know if I'll be able to read the whole series. There's like what, 11 books in this thing? I don't know. But I do want to read it. I do plan on reading it, and I liked it a lot. And in December, I read 5 books. The first one I read, I don't know what took me so long to read this book. I don't know what I was waiting on. I had this book, I want to say, over a year on my TBR. And I finally decided to give it a chance. And I finally decided to read it because I was like a little bit more into the fantasy world. And it's Fourth Wing by Rebecca Yarros. Do I even have to talk about this? we saw my video, right? And if you haven't, I'll wait here. Go watch it and then come back. All right, now you can tell me. I rated this a 5 stars. I don't know what I was waiting on. My reactions to this book was like out of this world. My sister commented, it was like the struggle. I was doing my makeup. I was about to go to a party and I was literally about to start crying. I had to hold them in because I was like, I'm not gonna ruin this. This book made me cry, made me laugh, made me so mad. I wanted to throw this book across the room because I loved it. I plan on reading Iron Flame next month. And I know Onyx Sword comes out this month, but I'm probably going to wait till like March to read that. If not a little longer, because then it's going to wait. I'm going to have to wait a whole another year for that. And if she does what she's been doing in these, where they leave you in cliffhangers, I don't want to wait a whole year for that. So, absolutely love this book, and I ended up... Thank you for this. Thank you, Rebecca Yarros, for writing this amazing book. Love this book, and I hope you did too, because it was an amazing book. The next book I read is called Not So Merry Memories. I rated this at 3 stars. I did read this on Kindle Unlimited. I was in a book slump after Fourth Wing. Everything that I picked up, I just didn't like, and I kind of forced myself to read this. Which at the beginning I was not understanding what I was reading, and then I kind of got to the point where it's like, oh, I'm getting it, and that's why I rated it at 3 stars. Next one I read is called My Xmas Emergency. I rated this at 4 stars. It was a really cute book. Christmas books. This was from Jennifer Peel. I got it also in Kindle Unlimited. Cute, Christmassy, fast read. The next one I read is called 'Tis the Season for Revenge, and it's by Morgan Elizabeth. I gave this a 4 stars. This book ate up. Loved everything about this. So cute. I feel like it was so kind of slow in some parts, but it was great. It was a really great Christmas book. And the last book of the year was a book that I tried reading before and only got to like chapter 3. Put it down, and the only reason I actually picked it up is because everybody and their mama was telling me to read it. The second book gets better. If you saw my last reading blog, you would know what I'm talking about. ACOTAR, A Court of Thorn and Roses. I rated this book at 3.5. The only reason I even pushed through it is because of you guys on TikTok. You guys told me to keep going. You guys told me that I needed to finish this, that it gets so much better on the second one, and I did it for you guys, and I'm hoping the second one gets better. I do plan on reading the second one hopefully soon. February, March, April, I'm not sure yet, but I am gonna dedicate a whole each book is gonna have their own set of their own video. Same with the Fourth Wing series, each book is gonna have their own video, just because I wanted to do that, because I've heard like the hype is so hyped for these books that I wanted to see what it was all about, and I just wanted to individually make a video for each book to see if they live up to the hype or not. And so far, Fourth Wing is the first book at least. This one, first book for me, it's not. Hopefully I can say something different about the second one, and if I feel the same the second one like I do this one, I probably won't even continue the series anymore. Hopefully the second one changes my mind. So I did read 57 books last year, and my goal for this year is 65. My goal last year was 70, which I did not reach it. I went through a lot of things, and I'm hoping I can reach my goal this year. I'm doing something different, so hopefully it can. But I don't know. We'll see. But yeah. We have come to the end of the video, and thank you so much for watching. I enjoyed making these. This is my second year making this kind of video, and I absolutely loved it. And like I said, sorry again for looking so crusty in this video, but thank you so much for watching, and I'll see you guys in the next one. Bye.